Hi and welcome back. Before we get started, I just want to congratulate you out of the gate because you're a loyal subscriber. You have just won $50. All you need to do is reach out to me and I'll cut you that check. It's on the way. It's just my way of thanking you. There's only one string attached. I'm lying. I am lying through my teeth. How does it feel to be lied to? Doesn't feel good. And that's the topic I want to talk about today is how do we deal with the liars in our lives, the liars that we cross paths with. And it's a strong word. And that's fine. I don't want to sugarcoat it and say, how do we deal with people who have issues with the truth? No, today we're going to deal with people who lie to us, who stress us out, waste our time, can cause lots of disappointment, can cause embarrassment. And depending on who is lying to you or not coming through for you as they said they would, it can really cause you to feel like you're failing, or in some cases can set you up with failure. Now, I'm going to illustrate a point to you by sharing a story. And herein lies the real essence with the people that we come across who lie. 10 years ago, I had a gentleman sitting in my office. He actually was referred for my services because he was a pathological liar. This had been a pattern that was causing him problems at work and his personal life. And he told me point blank, look me square in the eye, I don't feel like what I'm doing is really lying. I feel like I manipulate the truth. I feel like I tell half-truths. Well, here's a news flash. Half-truth, whole lie, however you want to paint it or shade it, it's very, very damaging for our lives. Who is in your life lying to you? And what have they lied about? Maybe they said, you have my word, I'm going to spend more time at home with the children. Or maybe it's a garden variety lie. I promise you that I'm going to pay your money back with interest. Or it will never, you have my word, it's never, ever gonna happen again. Or I really, truly, I was sick. I couldn't come in. I couldn't make it. I was truly sick. Or what about the liar that does the Jedi mind trick on you? I don't know what you think you saw, but it wasn't me. I wasn't involved. Surely your eyes, your own eyes, deceive you. So again, the lies come in all different shapes and sizes, cross the continuum in our professional lives and in our personal lives. And I want to give you 4 strategies that have worked very, very well for me over the years in terms of dealing with the liars that we cross paths with. And a lot of people say, well, I know how to deal with them. I just won't. Well, the problem there is you can't summarily just cut all of them off and out of your life because number one, you're going to be outnumbered. And number two, it really just is such a prevalent problem. You have Some folks that you're going to come across, they're lying because they really want to impress you. And really, that's really just what it's all about. They see themselves in a certain way and they want to project that onto you, and will do that at all costs. And then on the other end of the extreme, you have folks that simply lie. It's almost unconscious because it's pathological. And the issue there is, if you lie about, let's say, what we term a little small white lie, where's your cutoff point? You know, how do we start equating what's the mid-range lie? What's the whopper of a lie? So you start crossing boundaries very quickly and it gets dangerous. So listen up. These are 4 techniques that really, really work, and can, if you have dealing with someone who's lying to you in your life, can get this under control. Number 1 is what I call the subtle but powerful technique. And this is a technique that you can use, and you never even have to flat out call someone a liar, but you are putting them on notice that, you know, I'm paying attention. And when you bring up the issue or the topic, you're simply letting them know, look, John, I have a concern that some of the things that we talk about and some of the intentions that you put out, the outcomes, they don't match. And I want to give you some examples. And I don't know if this is a communication issue with us, if I'm reading this wrong, if it's something on your end. So I want to clear this up with you. But the key piece is, you don't just go to John and start rattling off. You go to him, it's very subtle, and you have examples to share for him. One example might be, well, you had mentioned that you would be the first one at this meeting to give your presentation, to set up. You said you were all done, everything was set to go. The meeting came around, not only were you late, you were unprepared. You didn't even get to your part of the presentation because it wasn't done. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about. Throw another example out. Mary, last week we talked, you had promised that you were going to come and visit the children, and the intention seemed like they were good, they were there, but you didn't show up. And that's the second time that's happened. So I'm wondering, am I hearing it wrong? Is that just a miscommunication? So you're really taking them off the defensive, and one of those things, hey, it could be me. I'm just checking this out with you. But what that does for Mary and John, it's putting them on notice. I'm paying attention to what you say. I'm not a buffoon. I'm paying attention. And a lot of times, if the lying is just due to carelessness, recklessness, whatever, they're going to shore that up because you have let them know that you're on guard. The second piece that I want to share with you, second strategy, is oftentimes it's to your advantage to pull away, depending on who you have in the relationship with, what's the relationship dynamic. It's just best to pull away. I would reference maybe a new dating relationship with you. A friend of mine started seeing this gentleman, and just these, as you might term white lies started popping up. Dates that were set started to, it just didn't happen. There was always an excuse. There was an established pattern. And in relationships and instances like that, really the person is announcing to you, I'm unreliable, I'm not dependable, I'm going to continue to disappoint you. At some point, common sense has to come in here, and you look at that squarely for what it is, and you need to back away, set your boundaries to take care of yourself. Only you can decide your level of investment with these relationships, but it has been proven to me that once these patterns are set, unless someone is really invested in changing them, they can become problematic, and you're going to set yourself up for disappointment after disappointment. So where it's appropriate and where it's possible, really back off of those relationships, because they have announced clearly, I don't have your best interest in mind. You're clearly not enough of a priority for me to come through for you, and you need to back off and take care of yourself. The third strategy, a little bit controversial, but in certain cases, this works like a charm. It can eliminate all stress, and if the person you're dealing with holds other value to you, and let's say the lying issue is it's a problem, you can turn it into a problem for them where their lying does not impact you. And let me tell you how you do that. There are a few folks in my life, and it's very few, like two. These are affiliations 15 plus years. And I had to come to some sort of a reckoning or peace of mind in order to keep them in my life on a minimal basis, because they had value in other areas. I had to minimize just about everything that they say that would be in relation to some guarantee they had, or something that they were going to do for me, or some grandiose idea. I'll give you an example. One of these friends lives at a distance, but I'll tell you, the value of this friend is that they are a wonderful writer, and there's special projects that we will collaborate on, proofread, all this good stuff. That's very valuable to me, because they're just fabulous, top of the line in that field, and not a bad person. But this individual is also prone to making grandiose promises. I'm gonna fly out there. It's just gonna be wonderful. It's fantastic. And the second time that I was disappointed, when a trip was planned and it didn't happen, what I said was, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be around. When you buy your ticket, let me know, and we'll go from there. The things that sound grandiose and typically I know that aren't going to happen, I simply put this person on a level where it just doesn't impact me, honestly, because I don't take it seriously. I just do not take it seriously. And you might say, well, Sheila, are you comfortable being around someone who's lying to you? I don't necessarily look at them as lying to me. I've reframed it. I feel like I'm observing a person who's lying to their self. And that affiliation, that relationship is very well managed. I get the value that I want and need out of it, which is much more of a professional nature. And that's how you can balance and manage that piece, because if someone is in your life and they're constantly making promises, I'm gonna come through, and I promise you this, I'm gonna do this, every time your expectations go up so high, can you imagine just the chronic letdown? It's exhausting, it's draining, it builds resentment. So where it's appropriate, simply shift their level of standing and importance in your life, if you can do that, because it works like a charm. I don't say to look at these people like they're clowns or amusing, but maybe a step above that, and focus in on the redeeming qualities, and the rest, put them in the light of God, and let it go. So it really can be a strategy that works well, but it takes your focus and your reshifting. Number 4, This is probably the most intense strategy because, again, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Sometimes there's people who are involved in our lives very intimately, and they're constantly letting us down, flipping the script, lying about this and that to and fro. And it's unacceptable because they're on the interior of our lives in a very critical or important way. And I would say to you that the winning option is to call it straight out. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and letting them know, look, I have made my observations and there is an established pattern here of you not telling the truth. You're lying to me, and if you want to stay in my life and on the level that you're at, there has to be a commitment to clean this up. And it's almost a probationary period. But when you say it, you have to mean it. Because when someone has an established pattern, unless they are interested in interrupting that pattern and making major changes, that problem is your problem. And it's going to stay your problem. So where we deal with lying, certainly there's intensities, different degrees, how it impacts your life. But bottom line, it's important to be aware of it. It's important to manage it. I hope the strategies that I've shared today will give you some new ways to think about dealing with liars that you may come across in your life so that you can preserve your own mental health. And if you're a person on the flip end of that and you're having battles and you're struggling with lying, what I would say to you is go inside yourself and ask, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of people knowing about you? Or what is it about who you are and your authentic self that you're trying to hide? Because eventually the truth always bubbles up and reveals itself. So do yourself a favor and just start there anyway. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you again. Thanks.